Sundance seems to have been a big moment for a lot that's going on with this film. Lakeith and Daniel, the idea that Get Out premiered at Sundance, but were you guys able to enjoy that moment there in Park City?
No, I didn't get invited, to be real. So
The Black Panthers are the single greatest threat to our national security. Our counterintelligence program must prevent the rise of a black messiah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angelique Jackson, film and media reporter at Variety, and I am here with the cast and director of Judas and the Black Messiah at Variety's virtual Sundance studio presented by AT&T TV. Let's talk about that early part of bringing this story together. When you first decided that you wanted to tell it, what was it about Fred's story that you wanted to be sure to get across?
I think the first thing that attracted me to specifically wanting to tell Fred's story were his words. I'd never heard anyone, so witty, but with so much depth, so youthfully profane, but also incredibly profound in an old, wise way. And in terms of what I wanted to communicate to audiences that I felt, hadn't really been put forth in history books and representations of the Panthers in the media was that, these weren't, terrorists. These were young thinkers, philosophers, community organizers, and just brilliant minds with big hearts. And so that was something that, I wanted to definitely put forth into the world.
The Black Panthers are forming a rainbow coalition of oppressed brothers and sisters of every color.
Having Chairman Fred Jr. and Deborah, now Mama Akua, available to talk about Fred and who he was as a man, how did that help you frame this story? Or what was something that they told you that made a difference?
I mean, in fact, the process of learning about Chairman Fred Hampton really taught me a lot about myself. And I feel like he had the words of a lot of feelings that I have. And then that I wasn't really, I made to feel different or weird feeling or action in doing from those feelings. Especially with the heightening the contradictions. That's something that really spoke to me. And how you can sit in your truth and effortlessly reveal who someone else is or another organization is without you have to go out of your way to reveal it for them. You know what I mean? It's that's something that really spoke to me.
It's not a question of violence or non-violence. It's a question of resistance to fascism or non-existence within fascism. You can murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation.
Lakeith, what was something that really spoke to you, something that really resonated with you about Fred?
The magnitude and the extent to which his teachings and what he was about was made practical and useful in the world in a tangible way. When I was a kid, I did a lot of research on Google because that's actually how I got into acting. But because I wasn't taught those things in school, but I always knew there was more to our story than I was being told. So I came across Fred Hampton when I was a teenager, young. And I loved his speeches. They brought tears to my eyes at the time. And I just remember thinking, I have to do something. And I didn't know until I got into research for this movie just how much him and the Panthers actually did something and made things, made tangible changes in the world in a short amount of time. So that was profound.
In bringing Chairman Fred's story to the screen, how did you find a way to bring yourself to the character while also paying tribute to him as a man?
When I really started looking at Chairman Fred specifically, I was like, wow, this is a huge mountain. I'm really grateful for Shaka a year before we started the shoot, we set a bit of time, like 4 or 5 days, and we just read the speeches, and it was a place, it was like a safe space to play and explore, and him to express what he caught on to Chairman Fred's speech patterns and rhythms, and then doing that, and then what I caught on to, and then exploring that and exploring his touchstones. It was really an invaluable process. I was just watching these speeches and feeling moved by them and going, spiritually, how do I move someone else the way I'm feeling moved at this moment? You know, it's like chasing a feeling, as opposed to going, this man is this, because it's, you know, it's what they say, like, you remember how people make you feel. I was trying to conjure up that memory in me, you know what I'm saying? And imparting that in others, and honing that in terms of like feeling wise. Not like, I don't really have the words for what that feeling was, but I feel it and going, okay, that's the North Star. And bringing myself to that. And it was really helpful to have his words on certain speeches, because it kind of like, it kind of speaks for itself. You know, it kind of, you just have to say them and kind of get out of your own way and let him channel and come through you.
At the time, Deborah and Chairman Fred's relationship, it brings the romance, the humanity of this man to the screen. Tell me a little bit about finding her, and then also the conversations that you had. Was there one thing that she told you that really helped you figure out what their love was about?
It wasn't so much what she told me, it was what she was adamant about when we went to speak to the family in Chicago. So we had like this kind of like 7-hour talk around the table. And I remember her being so adamant about the discipline that the Black Panther Party had, and that she didn't speak to chairman in certain ways that maybe would come across in the film. And I couldn't really understand that until putting myself in her shoes. And I think I really just kind of studied Daniel a lot. Like even when we were with the family and he was speaking, because Chairman Fred Jr. had us go around the table and say why every single one of us wanted to do this film. And he was like, I'm gonna start with you. And he like points to Daniel, and I'm like, oh my God, I am scared. And Daniel he's so calm and collected, and he just he spoke his truth. And I remember feeling like, oh, like Daniel galvanized me, right? Like, and I said, oh, I wonder if this is what Fred made the people feel. And if Daniel is doing that to me, were we actually Fred and Deb, how would I want to rise to the occasion to be that support for him, for Daniel, and in turn as Deborah Johnson. So I really just allowed whatever Daniel was doing to kind of influence me, and how I would watch him a lot. He'd be like, what you looking at? Like nothing. But I would watch him take up space and watch how he moved, and see how that, not naturally, how I became. And so I understood how somebody as fiery as Mama Okua, now she curse you out real quick and she got the side eye for days, you know, how somebody like her would then say, oh, I didn't speak back to Chairman Fred. We had a lot of discipline. I saw myself becoming a bit more demure, but also still having a fire, and the urgency behind the things that I said and the things that Deborah kind of says in the movie.
Perhaps we're here for more than just war with these bodies. They scream.
This story is also, of course, coming out at such a powerful time of reflection. Freedom is something that as Black people, we are actively fighting for, globally. And getting a chance to tell Fred Hampton's story, and as we kind of discussed earlier, kind of rewrite the narrative, reframe the narrative. What does it mean to you to be kind of carrying that spirit from 1968 and 1969 into 2021 through this piece of art?
It feels almost like this movie kind of had to get made with these individuals, that it doesn't really feel like there's been any coincidence. And, people have been trying to make movies about Fred Hampton. Incredible filmmakers, Antoine Fuqua, Forrest Whitaker, have been trying to make movies about Fred Hampton for decades. And there's always been some kind of hiccup. And not that this was an easy task, but, for it to come together in the amount of time it did with the people involved feels right. And when I've wondered to myself, why now? And then I look at the world that the movie is coming out in, not that things are drastically different, but there's a level of attention being paid to so many injustices and atrocities happening globally. There's just a level of attention on a cultural level that, not to say that we haven't been here before, but I think people are as engaged in the world around them as they ever have been. So for a piece of pop culture like this to come out now feels right. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what the end result will be. I don't know how, the masses will react to it. I mean, but even the way it's coming out, it being so accessible to so many more people who are going to watch it at home, who've been dying to just see something new because they can't go to the movies and, they can't go outside. They can't go anywhere, So it's clearly on time. And, its utility remains to be seen, but I think it has some.
America's on fire right now. And until that fire is extinguished, nothing else means a damn thing.
I love this collaboration between all of you. Obviously, Daniel and Lakeith, you've worked together before with Get Out. What would you like to see yourselves potentially all do together next?
A romance, obviously. Like a rom-com.
We can't even say Get Out no more. Me, him, Rail, that's off limits. Yeah. Anytime I say it, I'm just thinking about the movie all the time, man.
The Wiz, remake The Wiz, huh? Remake The Wiz.
Okay, who wants to do what in The Wiz? I'm down.
Who do you want to play, Dom?
I'll play
Daniel's Dorothy.
Okay. If not Dorothy, I'll play the lion.
You're the lion. I was gonna say you're the lion.
Because I'm gonna be no lion.
I want to be the Tin Man for sure.
You're the Tin Man. You're the Tin Man. It's done. It's done. And you're Oz.
Accept Dorothy?
Angelique, you're Oz. You're Oz, Angelique.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, who are you, Shaka?
I'm making this shit. I'm Sidney Lumet.
You commissioned it. You know what I'm saying? Do so right. I direct.
Sidney Lumet. Who else?
Shaka's an actor, though. Let's not
on the low, you can do it. You can do it on the low.
Nah, never that.